your business with more clients, more profits, but without the stress? How about gaining that competitive edge by keeping up with the latest digital trends? Or maybe you want to transform your thinking from the ordinary to the extraordinary. That's what this channel is all about. We focus on brand strategy and design, new marketing strategies, social media marketing, influencer marketing, paid advertising. And now we talk customer experience with digital technologies, digital trends, and data analytics. It's all about digital transformation.
Hello and welcome to the Digital Perspectives. I'm Praveen Gautam, your host today. This program is all about exploring your digital trends, strategies, and really practical ideas to help your business build a brand and monetize it. Today, if you're watching these episodes from any of the channels, including Facebook, YouTube, yes, YouTube Live, or LinkedIn, that's our favorite channel, LinkedIn Live. Feel free to give a thumbs up, comments, or share this. And really, this is a practical, all dedicated for you guys to help you build your brand. So if there's any specific questions, just jump in. I have a special guest today, and we will explore all about the branding, about the virtual executive presence and brand. So without further ado, my special guest is Melissa Lewis. She is the founder of the Ascension Group. She has spent last 10 years working with performing leaders to unleash the power of executive presence from inside out. Yes, my friend, from inside out. And she have worked with organizations and enterprises and leaders from Amazon, KPMG, Amex, Uber Eats, Telstra, EY, Coles, and the organization goes on and on. So anyway, without any further ado, welcome to my special friend and the guest, Melissa. Welcome to the show, Mel.
Thank you so much, Praveen.
I'm really excited here and can't wait to get some insights for our viewers today. So very much looking forward to it.
Good.
Yeah, Mel, I mean, I remember, when we met, because obviously you are a pioneer in personal branding. And I remember when we met, you mentioned probably, if that might be business leaders or sales leaders or that might be executives, IQ and EQ is not just enough. I think the PQ you mentioned, which I was so fascinated with, I think that was a couple of months ago we had that conversation. So let's start from very basic, Melissa, if that's okay. What are you seeing right now in the virtual world in regard to how people are showing up today?
Well, there's no doubt we're living in a very different time. If you would have said that at the beginning of 2020 that we would all be fighting for toilet paper and that the whole world would be closed down and majority of people working from home, and now that our virtual visual presence has never mattered so much. So, the daily active users on Zoom in the first 3 months of COVID went from 10 million to 200 million users in just 3 months. Now, a lot of people were using Zoom. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot. So a lot of business to be had. However, a lot of people were using for the first time. So not only did they not know technically how to set it up, but also physiology plays a big part in it because we're not in front of people. So it's all, all of a sudden we're faced with, we've got to do things virtually. We need to be able to connect. We need to be able to build rapport. We need to be able to do interviews. We need to be able to close deals still doing business, all from, little area that and now is called our business place, our virtual business place. So a lot's going on. It's a great time for businesses to do a little audit of what's actually working online. Is it consistent with their offline brand? Because as you know, a lot of companies haven't really had to spend much time or thought on their virtual presence. Now it's a great time for them to reassess and go, right, are my employees all showing up with work attire? Do they have a plain background? Are they professional? Are they representing the organization like we want them to do in person? So it is a really good time to reflect. I'm seeing lots of different things on through Zoom meetings, some funny, some disturbing, and some are not so professional. But then there's a whole lot of people doing great business as well, and it's been really an effective tool.
You bet. Couldn't agree more, obviously. And as a business leader, as an executive or a sales leader, it is so important to have that, the personalities, whichever the person, not that we have to wear the ties and suit every day in the Zoom meeting or virtual meeting or streaming. The world is changing now, even in physical, we even don't know after post-COVID, not anyone will be wearing every day a tie unless they're different. So also on that note, I'm curious to know, and please shed some light, because you are a very much believer on executive presence and how you are helping your clients, executive clients. So what is that in a nutshell? What is executive presence, and how do we know if someone has it, and why is it important, Mel?
It's such a great question. I mean, we've all heard the term executive presence, but what does it actually mean? Does it mean that you stand up straight? Does it mean that you're a great communicator, that you've got charisma, that you wear a tailored suit? So, I'm sure you can all reflect on meeting someone who really oozes that X factor. They've got charisma, they've got charm, and they've got spunk. And then I'm sure on the other side of the spectrum, you've met someone at a function and you just thought, you know what, they really are giving me nothing. Now, although they're two great examples of what presence is and isn't, it doesn't really get to the core of presence. And when I started 10 years ago, presence kept coming up. Oh, she's getting overlooked, or he's getting overlooked, because they just don't have that presence. So I started to actually Google the term, and it turns out it's actually the second highest used term behind general leadership effectiveness when it comes to coaching. And as I Googled further, I found the only science-based tool in the world who actually gave measurement and were able to define what executive presence meant. And that meant the ability of a leader to inspire, align, engage, and move people to take action. So as you can see, Bates Communication in Boston developed this, not only to give a definition to something that people knew if they saw it and knew if it wasn't there, but couldn't actually describe it, but a reason why it was important. And what they correlated was that presence was the driving force behind both organization and individual performance. So executive presence is increasingly important. They developed a tool which is based on 3 behavioral characteristics: your character, your substance, and your style. Now, if we look at character, it's your inner core traits and values that define you. It's your character. It looks at, are you considered to be considered in personality, authentic, have integrity and trust. Then we look at substance. Now, substance is your unique substance proposition. It looks at whether leaders have wisdom, whether they have values, whether they are able to communicate effectively and get to the heart of the issue. And lastly, it looks at style. Style is the most readily observed pillar. It's what people see and really experience from you immediately. So whether you like it or not, your style must be congruent with who you are. Now, style isn't just what you wear, although that is important. Style is your ability to get people on board. So in business, in order to have influence, you must have presence. To have presence, it looks at your character, your substance, and style. So I'd like you to think of those 3, let's call them pillars, like 3 wheels on a tricycle. Each wheel is as important as the other. If you want to go further, sorry, move the slides, keep going. Next one. Next one. Yes. So if you think of the 3 pillar wheels on a tricycle, each wheel is important as the other. So if one wheel or another is less pumped up, it puts a lot of pressure on your other wheels. The same goes for the pumped up tires. If you start wearing these pumped up tires down, you're going to experience that you're going to have to overcompensate in other areas. And that's why executive presence through Bates and the scientific procedure that they've really collated all the data shows that there's 15 behavioral characteristics that are essential for having presence. So we can now rely on data and research rather than just intuition.
Yep, that makes perfect sense. So what you're saying is three pillars are very important, and it goes. And I think what a perfect example you give. The bicycle. I love it. So I hope that's please.
And if you have style but no substance, you're deemed to be an empty suit. So that's why you need to have all of the elements.
Right.
And it's measurement.
Okay, that make complete sense. So what you're saying is all these three, character, substance, and styles, they all need to be the equal pillars for executive presence. Yeah,
absolutely. So giving measurement to something that wasn't tangible before.
Okay. Now, I hope that's a very clear to our viewers, because always it's a buzzword. We always want to have if it is a small business or mid-sized business, they always think, oh, we want to have executive presence. We want to executive. I hope that's a very clear to our viewers right now. Now, also, Mel, because obviously there is a substance in what you're saying, and there is a lot of research goes, and I'm so honored to have you, because you have spent yourself as so much time and research on this executive presence, on this research. So to our viewers, how do they then elevate the visual executive presence? What do they have to do?
Well, it's a good question. Now, when we're virtually trying to build presence, we need to be able to set ourselves up. Now, Bates Communication came up with a framework, an acronym called FIELD. So F for frame, so positioning yourself within the screen. So you can see I haven't got too much above me, not too much below. So I made sure that I'm in the screen, which allows me to do great business and really communicate authentically. The second is image. So create the space that you want behind. Make sure it's not a busy and cluttered background. And also for yourself, wear clothes that are appropriate. If you're in a work meeting, wear clothes that you would wear to that meeting. You don't necessarily have to wear a suit, but I think it says a lot about a person. If you turn up in a t-shirt, there's an incongruency sometimes between what you're saying and what you're presenting. And when we have incongruency, we start to mistrust what's being said. So it is really important to make sure our image is okay. Also, eye elevation. And Praveen, you gave me this tip before even, that you're supposed to be looking at the actual camera rather than the person. This definitely takes time to master, and I'm still in the mastering stage. Also, make sure the light is not in front of you. As you can see behind, I've got the light sitting behind me. If the light's in front, it actually causes some fadeness. It takes away from the message. It's distracting. So you don't want anything to distract. And distance. Move in. If you're too close, move a little bit back. No one wants to see up your nostrils. I'm sure I've already seen a few. So it's really just making sure that you set yourself up for success from the moment you get on the camera. And it's the same if you were going to have a meeting. Before you go into the meeting, you make sure you have your work stuff. It's all organized. You haven't got papers everywhere. Essentially, your virtual space, it's taking it to that next level. Don't think you can get away with things just because you're sitting in the comfort of your own home. Business needs to be taken seriously. Our economy cannot afford to not continue making money.
Totally. Wow, what an inspiring message there, Mel. So I think all the points which you mentioned is obviously, I see it is a non-negotiables, because you can't. It's like in a couple of years ago, I remember I was looking for brand stylist, not sure what sort of the clothes and others, and he come up along with bit of with the jeans and just the t-shirt, and I was not sure about, because he doesn't really represent. He's a nice guy, but I didn't really tune in with a brand stylist who can help me. So what you are
Yes.
saying is walk the talk. It's very important,
Well,
and
it's
that's where we see
consistency.
the big gap in the market, because people are,
Yes.
talking, but not at the same time. And that's a big gap.
Yeah, it's a big gap. And as I said before, it causes mistrust. So there must be congruency. The same with when you meet someone in person. I want to make sure their photo of their profile picture on LinkedIn is the same, if not better, in person. Because there's no use having one image for one social media and then in person you're a different person. Because you're not going to connect nor keep long-lasting professional relationships.
Wow, what a great tips, actually. That's great tips. And that's where sometimes people get confused. Is it really you? Because you are different in LinkedIn. Your posting here is different. You're different. I mean,
If it's better in person, it's fine, but it's when there's a big disconnect, it's not.
Yep, that's good. I hope you guys are having fun as well. If you're watching this, by the way, from LinkedIn Live or any of our social media channels, I am with Melissa Lewis, the founder of Ascension Group, and we are talking about how to build your virtual executive presence and brand. So we're talking about both personal brand and business brand. Now, and you believe that, isn't it, Mel? Both the business brand and personal brand need to happen at the same time, no matter what sort of the business. Do you agree with that?
I couldn't agree more, because at the end of the day, like, my business is called the Ascension Group, but people are buying from me because, people buy from people they trust, like, know. Most of my clients have watched me for 6-8 years, and then it's a timing thing. So you build that credibility over time. You are the business. You're only as good as your team. But if you decide to have a business, you must make sure that you take control of your own brand. Whether you own the business or not, we're all a brand. And in fact, having a strong brand really allows us to command greater pay. It allows us to attract a lot more clients. It allows us job security. It allows us to be known as the go-to person. So really spending time on our brand. And for a lot of executives or middle to senior management, up until now, they've really relied on their technical skills, and we've spoken about this before. Now the world is changing, and you can no longer just rely on being technically good.
So what you're saying is whether that may be medical, dental, health professionals, or whether that may be any CEOs or executive mid-size. So you can't just be a technical guy and just rely on that. What you're saying is they need to have that brand presence or executive brand.
They do. Okay. They do. And I think my philosophy is that no longer can you just invest in your IQ and your EQ.
So what does that mean? Can you able to tell a little bit to our viewers, Mel? Because I'm fascinated to know, about, obviously we all know IQ and EQ, but what is PQ? I mean, is it something, a new term?
So 10 years ago, I started my business, and I started dressing women to make sure their external presence matched their credibility. I came from running shopping centers before that, and my grandfather was a couture tailor. So the journey made sense. But what I kept seeing was that not only was there a disconnect, but a lot of executives that 10 years ago really heavily relied on their work to talk, their results to really talk for them, their experience, and that they were technically very good. Now, so I still believe you need to work on your IQ and EQ, but now I also believe that you must invest in your PQ. Your PQ is your presence quotient. It's your ability to really have the confident conversations whilst keeping composed. It's about developing your professional brand, understanding your values, knowing how to influence, and then also making sure that you make the right first impression, a lasting first impression, and that your image and your overall leadership style is consistent with who you are. So no longer can we just rely on our IQ and EQ. We do need our PQ. If you haven't heard of PQ before, that's probably because I've trademarked that. You will see a lot more on your PQ, but your PQ has never been more important virtually now, but also in person, because gone are the days that we can say, right, we've got job security, our skills are going to take us where we need, we're technically brilliant, we're safe. We all, whether we work for ourselves or we work for or we have our own company, we always need to be looking for additional income streams. How can we bring in money? We need to be commercial. I remember doing this when I was young and realizing that that's how if I wanted a pay increase, I needed to add value to the business. I needed to bring in that money plus more to be worthy of a pay increase. And it worked. So the same thing needs to apply now, that even people who are technically on site and they're the forefront or the face of the business, they need to be upskilled now. And I'm working with a big medical sterilization company now to work with all their technical stuff. So then when they're on site, they're able to look for additional opportunities. They're able to communicate. They're able to be more inquisitive and not do the sales or get the next opportunity, but bring that back to the team. If that really isn't their skill, then that's not a problem. But look for those opportunities and that revenue streams to be able to bring back to the organization.
Great advice, Mel. I think we all need to stand out. Can't just put the technical hat. You just have to elevate that, and that's where sometimes the leaders, there is a gap between intentions and perceptions, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. What's your thought on that quickly?
Yeah, I mean, 9 times out of 10, our intentions and the perception of others are not aligned. And this can happen for many reasons. Often it's because people aren't giving honest feedback. So now with our virtual presence, because it's such a new thing, one way to really understand our intentions versus perception is to get some feedback. If you're running boards, you're running big meetings, you've just done a presentation to a particular client, really ask them for some honest feedback after. Was my camera right? Was my voice clear? Did I still portray the right message? Because if you're not closing deals and things are going wrong, then the perception is not aligned. I mean, I'm very proud that I'm one of a handful of people that are accredited to use the science-based tool that I was talking to you about before. So this really allows me to understand with data and with science, how are you being perceived with your colleagues, your clients, your direct reports, your bosses or your managers or your 2IC, whoever it is. You can have up to 14 people actually review you. So I've found this to be the key tool for my clients. Rather than guessing how they're being perceived, we can actually use data and science.
Wow. And that's where it's, love when people, when we, not just say for the sake of saying, but when there is a data to back it up and really there is a substance, it just whole change the name of the game.
You need to have science. You need to have science, because intuitively, I could often see where organizations perhaps were going wrong, or individuals within the organization were not quite landing their message correctly. And with slight tweaks, not changes, because they were already brilliant, with slight tweaks, it made a big difference to how they were being perceived by not only their direct reports, but a lot of their clients as well, and future potential ones.
That's great. No, thank you so much, Mel. We're conscious with the time. I just love the insight. I hope that has been very much valuable to our clients. And I know you're very, very busy and you have been helping the clients. So any final words and anything, all the viewers, if they are interested to know more about you, what is the best way for you to get in touch? For them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, thanks, Praveen. I think the best way is through LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn as a medium. Write me a message. Let me know your thoughts also on today's session. Love to hear your feedback. So yeah, LinkedIn would be the best, under Melissa Lewis.
Beautiful. Thank you, Melissa. Thanks, guys. I hope that's been value to you. By the way, Melissa's email is just right there, Melissa at the Ascension Group. But as he mentioned, the best way is to connect to her LinkedIn. So she's very, very active on LinkedIn, like we all are. Reach out to her. And if you have any questions about the branding or anything about personal branding, she's been helping a lot of business, and it's so great. We are helping number of clients on a to position their brand, and we are working very closely with Melissa for to getting the brand success. Any final words to add before we wrap up this show, Mel?
No, all good. I think everyone just needs to be that little touch more self-aware with how they're portraying themselves virtually in terms of their brand and presence. And hopefully we won't need to be virtual for much longer, and we can start meeting in person.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Mel. Thank you once again. Looking forward to doing more with you again.
Likewise. Thanks, Prabhi.
Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. Just curious, how you are building your brand and virtual executive presence. So if you're still struggling and if you're not sure about building your brand and to monetize it, just reach out to me. My emails is just here, Praveen@visnetwork.com.au. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next Thursday.